Welcome to the Sleepless Historian. This video, boring history for sleep, medieval torture methods that will make you sleepless, and more, is crafted to guide you through the shadows of history, with tales to both soothe and unsettle. Our stories are drawn from trusted historical texts and the works of renowned scholars to whom we give full credit. High-generated images illustrate the themes of the past, not specific individuals, living or dead. Any resemblance is purely coincidental. At the Sleepless Historian, we weave calming yet captivating narratives to spark your curiosity as you drift toward sleep. If you find solace in these tales, please subscribe to join our journey. Sources are in the description. Now, close your eyes and let the medieval world unfold. Hello, friend. Welcome back, or perhaps welcome for the very first time. Wherever you are, whether you're curled beneath a warm blanket, lying in stillness with the lights turned low, or just letting your mind wander after a long day, I'm truly glad you're here. This is the Sleepless Historian, and tonight, as the world softens and your thoughts begin to quiet, we're going to embark on another journey together, one that stretches far beyond the boundaries of time, across oceans and mountaintops, through forgotten forests and sacred ruins, into the heart of the ancient world. In this series, we explore the world's great mythologies not in hurried summaries, but in calm, textured stories, as they were once passed from lips to ears by firelight long ago. From the shadowy underworld of Hades to the frozen peaks of Norse Asgard, from the sun-drenched temples of Egypt, we'll meet gods who bleed, monsters who dream, mortals who dared to challenge fate, and ancient peoples whose beliefs shaped entire civilizations. This isn't just history, it's memory, woven with mystery. It's how cultures explained the cosmos, gave meaning to storms, stars, and suffering. These aren't just stories, they're maps to how ancient people saw the world, and perhaps how we still do. So take a slow breath. Let it all go. There's nothing to solve here. No plot twist to catch. No urgency at all. Just close your eyes if you wish, and let the soft, ageless rhythm of myth carry you. Let's begin. Close your eyes, if you dare, and step into a village square, where the air is thick with the scent of wet earth and fear. It is the year 1050, deep in the heart of Europe, where the sun struggles to pierce a sky heavy with clouds. The year is unimportant to the villagers gathered here, their boots sinking into the mud, their breath fogging in the chill dawn. They are not here for warmth or gossip. They are here for justice, a justice that burns, that bites, that leaves its mark on flesh and soul. You stand among them, unseen, a shadow in their world, feeling the weight of their stares, the hum of their whispers like insects in the dark. Before you, a man stands, his wrists bound with coarse robe, his face pale as the linen shirt clinging to his trembling frame. He is accused perhaps of stealing grain from the Lord's stores, perhaps of whispering heresy in the tavern's dim glow. His name is lost to time, but his fear is alive, pulsing in the air. You can almost taste it, sharp and bitter, as the crowd parts to reveal a brazier, its coals glowing like the eyes of some ancient beast. The ordeal by fire is about to begin, and you, too, are caught in its grip. In this age, justice is not a quiet affair. It is a spectacle, a sacred dance between man and God. The church looms over this village like a great stone sentinel, its teachings carved into every heart. Sin is not merely a crime, it is a wound in the world's order, a crack that must be sealed with pain or blood. The villagers believe, as you might feel standing here, that God watches. God judges. God will speak through the fire. The priest, his robes rough and stained, steps forward, a cross dangling from his neck. His voice is low, chanting Latin prayers that drift like smoke. Domini, judica causam tuam, Lord, judge your cause. You feel the words settle over you, heavy as the morning mist. The accused is led to the brazier, his steps faltering. You notice the way his eyes dart, searching for mercy in faces that offer none. The crowd is a single beast now, its breath held, its eyes fixed on the iron bar resting in the coals. It glows red, then white, its heat shimmering in the air. The priest raises a hand, and the accused is told to grasp it to carry it 9 paces, no more, no less. You can almost feel the heat yourself, the way it radiates, promising agony. The man hesitates, and for a moment, You wonder, will he run? Will he beg? But the crowd's silence is a chain, binding him to his fate. He reaches out, the iron sears into his palms, and a gasp escapes him, not a scream, but a sound so raw it makes your own hands clench. The stench of burning flesh fills the square, sharp and sickening, and you, standing among the villagers, feel your stomach turn. He stumbles forward, 1 step, 2, 3, the iron hissing in his grip. Each pace is a lifetime, each moment a prayer. By the 9th step, he drops the bar, collapsing to his knees. The crowd murmurs, some in awe, some in judgment. You notice a woman at the edge of the square, her hands clasped, whispering a prayer of her own. Is she his wife, his sister, or simply another soul caught in this theater of justice? The priest steps forward again, his face unreadable. The man's hands are wrapped in linen, sealed with wax, and he is led away to a cellar cold, stone chamber beneath the Lord's hall. You follow, unseen, through the narrow doorway, down steps slick with damp. The air grows heavy, smelling of mold and despair. The man is left alone, his bandages glowing faintly in the dark. In 3 days, those bandages will be unwrapped. If his wounds are clean, God has declared him innocent. If they fester, his guilt is sealed, and a worse fate awaits, perhaps the noose, perhaps the blade. You linger in the cell, feeling the weight of those 3 days, the silence that presses against the walls. But let us step back, out of the shadows, to understand why such a ritual exists. Picture this village, its wooden huts huddled against the forest's edge, its fields barely yielding enough to feed its people. Trust is the currency here, more precious than gold. A thief does not merely steal bread, he steals survival. A heretic does not merely doubt, he risks God's wrath upon the entire community. You feel it, don't you? The fragility of this world, where a single act can unravel everything. Punishment, then, is not just justice, it is survival, a message carved in pain for all to see. The ordeal by fire was no rare event. Across Europe, from the courts of Frankish kings to the villages of Anglo-Saxon England, it was a cornerstone of justice. The monk Ordric Vitalis, writing in his cloister, recorded such trials in his ecclesiastical history, describing men and women tested by fire for crimes as small as theft or as grave as witchcraft. You can imagine him, quill scratching parchment, his candle flickering as he recounts a world where divine will was sought in every burn. The ordeal was not merely a punishment, but a question posed to God. Who is guilty? Who is pure? Yet, as you stand in this village square, you sense something deeper. The ordeal is not just about the accused. It is about the crowd, the Lord, the priest. It is about power. The Lord, watching from his platform, his furs draped over broad shoulders, knows that this spectacle binds his people to him. The priest, his prayers rising like incense, knows that his authority is unquestioned. And the villagers, their eyes wide, know that to step out of line is to risk the fire themselves. You feel it, to the weight of their gaze, the way it holds you as surely as the ropes held the accused. Let us linger here, in the fading light of the square. The brazier's coals have dimmed, but their glow lingers in your mind. The accused waits in his cell, his fate hanging in the balance. You might wonder, what drove this world to such extremes? Was it faith, so fierce it burned like the iron itself? Was it fear of sin, of chaos, of the unknown? Or was there something else, something darker, a fascination with suffering? A need to see justice not just done, but felt. The village grows quiet now, the crowd dispersing into the twilight. You hear the creak of cartwheels, the lowing of cattle, the distant toll of a church bell. But the story does not end here. The ordeal by fire was merely the beginning, a spark in the vast machinery of medieval punishment. As you stand in the empty square, you feel a chill, not from the air, but from what lies ahead. The centuries that follow will bring methods far crueler, devices crafted not to test but to break. In the next chapter, we will step into the 13th century, where the shadows grow longer and the tools of justice grow sharper. A device waits, its name whispered in dread, the Judas Cradle. Its story is one of ingenuity and terror, a tale that will linger in your dreams or keep you sleepless. Imagine yourself standing in a narrow street, the year 1250, where the air smells of wood smoke and damp straw. You're in a medieval city now, Not the open village square of our last tale, but a place where stone walls loom like silent judges. The soft hum of a distant blacksmith's hammer mingles with the chatter of merchants, their voices fading as you slip through a shadowed alley. You're drawn downward, beneath the castle's towering bulk, to a dungeon where the air grows cold and heavy, like a wet cloak draped over your shoulders. Can you feel it? The chill that seeps into your bones, the faint drip of water echoing in the dark? You're not alone here, but you wish you were. Before you stands a device, its name whispered in dread, the Judas Cradle. Let me tell you its story, as softly as the flicker of a dying torch. You see it now, don't you? A wooden pyramid, its point sharp as a dagger, perched on a sturdy frame in the center of this stone chamber. The torchlight dances across its surface, casting shadows that twist like ghosts. The walls are slick with moisture, the floor stained with secrets older than the castle itself. A man is led in, his wrists bound with iron chains that clink like a mournful bell. He's accused of treason. Perhaps he spoke against the Lord, or maybe he's just a scapegoat, caught in the web of someone else's ambition. His eyes are wide, his breath shallow, and you feel it too, don't you? That tightening in your chest, as if the walls are closing in. You're a ghost in this world, unseen, but the weight of his fear presses against you all the same. The Judas Cradle is no simple tool. It's a creation of cruel genius, designed not to kill quickly but to linger, to make suffering a slow conversation. Picture it like a medieval version of sitting on the world's worst bar stool. No cushion, no comfort, just a point that promises pain. The accused is lifted by ropes dangling from the ceiling, his arms stretched taut, his feet hovering just above the pyramid's tip. You hear the creak of those ropes, like the groan of an old ship in a storm. Two guards, their faces hidden in shadow, hold the ropes steady, while an interrogator steps forward. He's cloaked, his voice low and smooth, like oil sliding over a blade. "Confess," he murmurs, and this ends. But the man is silent, his lips pressed tight. You want to whisper to him, to urge him to speak, but your voice is lost in the damp air. Slowly, so slowly, the ropes lower him, the point of the cradle presses against him, and a gasp escapes sharp, raw, like a note played on a broken string. You flinch, don't you? Even here, safe in your bed, you can almost feel the bite of that wooden peak. The pain is not sudden. It's a creeping thing, deliberate, like a spider weaving its web. The interrogator circles, his boots scuffing the stone floor, asking questions about plots, names, secrets. Each silence from the accused brings another inch downward, another twist of agony. The ropes creak, the torch crackles, and you notice the way the shadows seem to lean closer, as if the dungeon itself is listening. Let's pause here, just for a moment, and step back into the world above. Why such a device? Why this slow, meticulous cruelty? Picture the 13th century, a time when kings and popes clashed like thunderstorms, when loyalty was as fragile as a candle's flame. The church, ever watchful, saw treason as a sin against God's order, and lords saw it as a knife at their throats. The Judas Cradle, first whispered of in the courts of Italy around 1250, was not just punishment, it was a warning. Chronicles, like those of the monk Salim D. Adam, hint at its use in silencing dissenters. Though its name rarely appeared in writing, it was to grim, to intimate, a secret kept in the dark. You can imagine Salim Bean, hunched over his parchment, choosing his words carefully, as if the cradle's shadows stretched even to his cloister. Back in the dungeon, the accused sways above the cradle, his breath ragged. You notice the sweat beading on his brow, glinting like dew in the torchlight. The interrogator's questions grow sharper, but the man's silence holds, stubborn as the stone around you. You wonder, don't you? What keeps him quiet? Fear of betrayal? Faith in his cause? Or simply the hope that entrance will prove his innocence? The guards adjust the ropes, and the cradle bites deeper. You hear a stifled groan, and your own breath catches, as if you, too, are tethered to this moment. The Judas Cradle was not meant to kill, at least, not right away. It was a tool of coercion, a way to break the spirit before the body. Unlike the fire of the ordeal we saw before, this was no test of divine will. This was human, all too human, a machine built to extract truth or lies, whichever came first. You can picture the carpenter who crafted it, can't you? Some quiet craftsman, his hand steady as he carved the pyramid's point, perhaps telling himself it was just another job, like building a chair or a table. But this was no furniture for comfort. This was a throne of suffering, and you feel its weight in the air. Let's linger in this chamber a little longer. The torchlight flickers, casting jagged shadows on the walls. You notice the damp stains, like tears wept by the stone itself. The accused is raised now, the ropes pulling him upward, giving him a moment's relief. But it's a cruel kindness, for the interrogator is not done. He leans close, his whisper cutting through the silence. Speak, and you'll walk free. You want to believe him, don't you? But the glint in his eyes, half hidden by the hood, tells another story. The dungeon is a world of its own, where truth bends and breaks under pressure. You feel it, till the way the air grows heavier, as if the walls are holding their breath. The Judas cradle was rare, its use shrouded in whispers, but it left its mark on history's underbelly. In the courts of Aragon and the tribunals of the early Inquisition, it was a tool for those who sought control through fear. You can imagine the lords above, feasting in their halls, their laughter echoing while down here. In the dark, a man fights to keep his secrets. It's a strange contrast, isn't it? Like a medieval version of a split-screen movie, one world of light and plenty, another of shadow and pain. The cradle was not just a device, it was a symbol, a reminder that disloyalty came at a cost. As the interrogation drags on, you notice the man's strength waning. His head lolls, his eyes half closed, but still he does not speak. The guards grow restless, their boots shuffling on the floor. The interrogator paces, his patience thinning like a worn thread. You wonder what comes next. Will the man break? Or will the cradle claim him? You're tempted to look away, to let the darkness swallow the scene. But something holds you here, a curiosity as sharp as the cradle's point. What drives a person to endure such torment? What truths are worth this pain? The torch burns lower now, its flame a faint pulse in the gloom. You hear the drip of water again, steady as a heartbeat, and it lulls you, doesn't it? Even here, in this place of suffering, there's a rhythm, a strange comfort in the predictable. The accused is lowered once more, and you feel the tension in your own shoulders, as if you're carrying the ropes yourself. But let's step back, out of this chamber, before the next question falls. The Judas cradle has shown us a glimpse of the 13th century's heart, its fears, its power, its unrelenting need for control. As we leave this cold dungeon, let your mind wander to another time, another tool. The 14th century waits, where the shadows grow deeper and the machines of justice grow crueler still. A new device looms, one that twists not just the body, but the very soul. The pair of anguish. Its name is soft, almost delicate, but its story will curl your toes and linger in your dreams. Picture yourself in a city square, the year 1350, where the air is sharp with the scent of rain-soaked cobblestones and burning pitch. You're no longer in the damp dungeon of our last tale, but you're not free of its shadows either. The Black Death has swept through Europe, leaving ghost towns in its wake, and the world feels heavier, as if the sky itself mourns. You stand at the edge of a crowd, their cloaks damp, their faces drawn. Torches sputter in the evening mist, casting a glow that barely reaches the stone walls of a grim fortress. You hear the soft hum of whispered prayers, the creak of a cart's wheels, and then a muffled scream. Swallowed by the night, you're drawn toward a doorway, a black maw in the fortress wall, leading to a chamber where a device waits. Its name as deceptive as a rose with thorns, the pair of anguish. Let me tell you its story, as softly as the flicker of a candle in a storm. You step inside, unseen, a ghost in this world of flickering light and heavy air. The chamber is small, its walls rough-hewn, glistening with damp like the inside of a cave. The floor is cold beneath your feet, though you wear no shoes here, only the memory of them. In the center, on a wooden table, lies the pair of anguish, a metal contraption, no larger than a pear you might pluck from a tree, its surface polished to a dull sheen. It looks almost innocent, doesn't it? Like a trinket a merchant might hawk in the market, promising health or luck. But you feel the truth in your bones, don't you? This is no fruit of life. This is a seed of suffering, and its story is one of silence and screams. A woman is brought in, her hands bound with coarse rope, her eyes darting like a trapped bird's. She's accused of heresy. Perhaps she questioned the church's ties, or maybe she whispered doubts about the plague's divine purpose. Her name is lost to time, but her fear is alive, sharp as the air you breathe. You stand close, so close you can hear her ragged breaths, see the tremor in her fingers. The interrogator, a gaunt man with a tonsured head, holds the pair in his hands, turning it slowly, as if admiring a jewel. His voice is soft, almost kind, like a priest offering absolution. "Speak," he says, "and spare yourself." But her lips tremble, and no words come. You want to reach out, to pull her from this place. But you're only a shadow, caught in the slow grind of history. The pair of anguish is a cruel marvel, a device that whispers pain rather than shouts it. Picture it like a medieval version of a puzzle box, the kind you might fumble with as a child, only this one unlocks agony instead of secrets. The interrogator twists a key, and the pair's metal leaves begin to spread, slowly, relentlessly. You hear a faint click, like the snap of a twig underfoot, as the device expands. The woman's eyes widen, and a choked gasp escapes her. You flinch, don't you? Even here, safe in your bed, you can almost feel the pressure, the weight builds, steady and unyielding. The pair was designed to punish silently, to force confession without spilling blood at least. Not at first. It was used, they say, in the tribunals of the early Inquisition, though records are scarce, as if the device itself shunned the light. Let's pause, just for a moment, and step back into the world above. Why such a tool? Why this quiet, intimate cruelty? The 14th century was a time of fracture, a world reeling from plague and war. The 100 Years' War had begun in 1337, pitting England against France, and the church's grip tightened as fear of heresy grew. The pair of anguish, though rarely named in chronicles, appears in whispers texts like those of the chronicler Jean Froissart hint at its use in silencing those who challenged authority. You can imagine Froissart, his quill scratching late into the night, choosing his words with care, as if the pair's shadow lingered over his page. This was not just punishment, it was control, a way to quiet dissent in a world that craved order. Back in the chamber, the interrogator turns the key again, and the pair expands further. You hear another click, another gasp, and you notice the way the woman's hands clench, her nails digging into her palms. The torchlight flickers, casting jagged shadows that dance like specters on the walls. You wonder, don't you? What keeps her silent? Faith, defiance, or simply the hope that silence will end this torment? The interrogator's voice grows softer, almost a whisper, as he lists her crimes: heresy, blasphemy, consorting with devils. Each word is a weight, pressing her deeper into the pair's grip. You feel it too, don't you? The way the air grows thicker, as if the chamber is holding its breath. The pair was not meant to kill outright. It was a tool of persuasion, a way to break the will without breaking the body, at least, not visibly. Unlike the fire we saw in the village square, or the cradle's slow bite, the pair worked in silence, its pain hidden from the crowd. You can picture the craftsman who forged it, can't you? Some quiet metalworker, his hands steady as he shaped the leaves, telling himself it was just another commission, like a horseshoe or a gate. But this was no tool for honest labor. This was a machine of secrets, and you feel its presence in the room, heavy as the damp air. Let's linger here, in the flickering light. The walls seem closer now, don't they? The drip of water from some unseen crack is steady, like a heartbeat, and it lulls you, even in this place of pain. The woman's face is pale, her eyes half closed, but still she does not speak. The interrogator paces, his robes brushing the floor, his patience thinning like a warm thread. You notice the torch burning lower, its flame a faint pulse in the gloom. The shadows seem to lean closer, as if drawn to the woman's suffering. You want to look away, to let the darkness swallow the scene. But something holds you here, a curiosity, sharp as the pair's own edge. What truths are worth this silence? What lies are worth this pain? The pair of anguish was a rare device, its use cloaked in secrecy, but its legend grew in the courts of Europe, in Spain, in France, in the shadowed halls of the Inquisition. It was a tool for those who sought truth through terror. You can imagine the lords above, dining in their candlelit halls, their laughter echoing while down here, a woman fights to keep her voice. It's a strange contrast, isn't it? Like a medieval version of a play. one act bright and loud, the other dark and silent. The pair was not just a device, it was a message. A reminder that words or their absence came at a cost. As the interrogation stretches on, you notice the woman's strength fading. Her head lolls, her breath shallow, but still she holds her silence. The guards at the door shift, their armor clinking softly, like coins in a purse. The interrogator pauses, his hand on the key, and for a moment, you think he might stop. But then he turns it again, and the pair clicks once more. You flinch, your own breath catching, as if you're tethered to this moment. The chamber feels smaller now, the walls pressing in, the air thick with the scent of iron and fear. You wonder what comes next. Will she break? Or will the pair claim her voice forever? Let's step back, out of this chamber, before the next turn of the key. The torch is nearly spent. It's like a mere whisper now. You hear the drip of water again, steady, soothing, pulling you back to the present. The pair of anguish has shown us the 14th century's heart, its fear of chaos, its hunger for control, its quiet cruelty. But the story does not end here. As we leave this shadowed chamber, let your mind wander to another time, another place, where the tools of justice grow heavier, sharper, more relentless. The 15th century awaits, and with it, a device that binds not just the body, but the spirit, the Iron Maiden. Its name is cold, its story colder still, and it will linger in your dreams or keep you sleepless. Let me tell you a story, friends, as you lie there, nestled in the quiet of your room. The world outside fading like a distant memory. Picture yourself in a fortress courtyard, the year 1450, where the air carries the sharp bite of autumn and the faint smell of burning leaves. You're no longer in the shadowed dungeon of our last tale, but the weight of that darkness clings to you, doesn't it? You stand among a small crowd, their breath fogging in the chill, their eyes fixed on a towering structure at the courtyard's edge. It's not a scaffold or gallows, but something far more sinister, a metal figure, shaped like a woman, its surface dull and cold in the fading light. This is the Iron Maiden, and its name alone sends a shiver down your spine, like a cold finger tracing your neck. Can you feel it? The way the air grows heavier, as if the fortress itself is holding its breath. You step closer, unseen, a ghost in this world of stone and steel. The Iron Maiden stands tall, its halves hinged like a clamshell, its interior lined with spikes that gleam faintly in the torchlight. It's almost beautiful, isn't it? Like a statue you might find in a cathedral, serene and solemn. But you know better. Those spikes are not for decoration, they're for piercing, for punishing, for breaking. A man is led forward, his hands bound with rough hem, his face pale as the moon overhead. He's accused of rebellion, perhaps for rallying against the Lord's taxes, or whispering dissent in the tavern's smoky glow. You can hear his breaths, quick and shallow, like a rabbit caught in a snare. You want to look away, don't you? But the crowd's silence pulls you in, and you're caught, just as he is, in the Iron Maiden's cold embrace. The guards move with practiced ease, their boots scuffing the cobblestones. They open the Maiden's front, and the hinges groan, a low, mournful sound that echoes in your chest. You notice the spikes inside, some long, some short, each one positioned with cruel precision. The man is pushed forward, his eyes wide, searching the crowd for a friendly face, but finding none. You feel it too, don't you? That tightening in your throat, as if you're standing in his place. The guards lift him, forcing him into the Maiden's open arms. He struggles, just for a moment, but the ropes hold tight, and the crowd murmurs, their voices a low hum, like bees in a hive. You hear a woman whisper a prayer, her words lost in the wind, and you wonder, is she his kin, or just another soul drawn to this grim spectacle? The door begins to close, slowly, deliberately, like a book shutting on a finished tale. You hear the first spike touch flesh, a soft, sickening sound, like a knife piercing leather. The man gasps, his voice breaking, but he does not scream, not yet. The guards pause, letting the moment stretch, letting the fear sink in. You can almost feel the cold metal against your own skin, can't you? Like standing too close to a frozen gate in winter, the chill biting through your clothes. The Maiden is not meant to kill quickly. It's a device of patience, of precision, designed to prolong suffering, to make every moment a plea for mercy. You notice the way the spikes are angled not to pierce the heart or lungs, but to graze, to wound, to linger. It's almost elegant in a twisted way, like a medieval version of a surgeon's tool gone horribly wrong. Let's step back, just for a breath, and think about this world. The 15th century is a time of turmoil, a world caught between the old and the new. The 100 Years' War drags on, its battles staining the fields of France, and the church's power wanes as whispers of reform grow louder. The Iron Maiden, though its origins are murky, appears in tales from the German states, where princes and bishops clung to control with iron fists. Chronicles, like those of the historian Johannes Trithemius, speak of devices that punish traitors with a slow, deliberate cruelty. Though the maiden's name is rarely written, you can imagine Trithemius, his candle flickering as he writes, choosing his words carefully, as if the maiden's spikes might find he too. This was not just punishment, it was theater, a way to show the cost of defiance in a world that craved order. Back in the courtyard, the maiden's door closes further, and the man's gasps turn to a low moan, like the wind through a broken window. You notice the crowd now, their faces a mix of horror and fascination. Some turn away, their hands clasped, while others lean closer, as if drawn by the maiden's cold beauty. You feel it too, don't you? That strange pull, like staring into a fire, knowing it burns but unable to look away. The guards pause again, and a priest steps forward, his robes dark against the torchlight. He murmurs a prayer, his voice steady, but you catch a flicker of unease in his eyes. Is he praying for the man's soul, or for his own? The maiden does not care. It stands silent, its spikes doing their work, each one a question that demands an answer. The Iron Maiden was rare, its use more legend than fact, but its shadow loomed large. In the courts of the Holy Roman Empire, it was said to punish those who dared challenge the order rebels, heretics, or simply those unlucky enough to be accused. You can picture the smith who forged it, can't you? His hammer ringing in a smoky workshop, shaping the spikes with care, telling himself it's just another job, like crafting a sword or a plow. But this was no tool for war or harvest. This was a machine of dread, and you feel its presence in the courtyard, heavy as the fog rolling in from the river. Let's linger here in the fading light. The torches sputter, casting jagged shadows that dance across the cobblestones. You hear the wind now, a low howl that carries the scent of damp earth and distant smoke. The man in the maiden is still, his moans quieter now, as if he's sinking into the pain. The priest finishes his prayer, and the guards step back, their work done for now. The crowd begins to disperse, their footsteps soft, like leaves falling in autumn. You stay, though, don't you? Caught in this moment, wondering what drives a society to build such a thing. Is it fear, that old companion of the medieval world? Or is it something deeper, a need to see justice not just done, but displayed like a banner flapping in the wind? The Iron Maiden was not just a device, it was a story, a warning etched in metal and blood. You can imagine the tales told in taverns, the whispers of the maiden's embrace, each one growing darker with the telling. It's like a medieval ghost story, isn't it? The kind you'd hear by a fire, half laughing, half shivering, wondering if it's true. But here, in this courtyard, it's all too real. You notice the way the man's head lolls now, his strength fading, but his eyes are open, fixed on something beyond the crowd. What does he see? Redemption? Defiance? Or simply the end? You want to know, don't you? But the maiden keeps its secrets, its spikes holding tight to their truth. As the night deepens, you hear the creak of the fortress gate, the distant bark of a dog. The crowd is gone now, leaving only you, the guards, and the man in the maiden's grip. The torches burn low, their light barely reaching the stone walls. You feel the cold more keenly now, as if the maiden's metal has seeped into the air. The priest lingers, his prayer book clutched tight, and you wonder what he thinks of this justice. Does he see God's will in the spikes, or does he, too, feel the weight of this cruelty? The guards stand silent, their faces unreadable, but you notice the way one shifts his weight, as if eager to leave this place. Let's step away, friends, before the maiden's door closes fully. The courtyard feels emptier now, the wind carrying away the last echoes of the man's moans. You hear the soft drip of rain beginning to fall, pattering against the cobblestones, and it lulls you, doesn't it? Even here, in this place of pain, there's a rhythm, a strange comfort in the steady sound. The Iron Maiden has shown us the 15th century's heart, its turmoil, its fear, its relentless need for control. But the story does not end here. As we leave this shadowed courtyard, let your mind wander to another time, another place, where the tools of justice grow stranger, more intricate. The 16th century awaits, and with it, a device that binds not just the body but the mind, the scavenger's daughter. Its name is curious, almost playful, but its story will curl your toes and linger in your dreams. Picture yourself in a shadowed hall, the year 1550, where the air smells of polished oak and the faint tang of iron. You're no longer in the chilly courtyard of our last tale, but the echo of that cold lingers. Doesn't it? You stand in a grand chamber, its high ceilings lost in gloom, its walls adorned with tapestries that sway gently, as if breathing. The flicker of candlelight dances across the floor, casting long shadows that twist like fingers reaching for you. At the center of the room stands a device, small but menacing, its metal gleaming dully in the dim light. This is the scavenger's daughter, a name as curious as a riddle, but its purpose is no jest. Can you feel it? The way the air grows thick, as if the hall itself is holding its secrets close? You step closer, a ghost in this world, unseen yet caught in its weight. The scavenger's daughter is no towering figure like the Iron Maiden. It's compact, almost delicate, a metal frame shaped like an A, with clamps and screws that glint like the eyes of a predator. It's oddly inviting, isn't it? Like a chair you might pull up to a tavern table, promising rest. But you know better. This is no seat for comfort, it's a trap, designed to fold the body into itself, to crush breath and spirit alike. A woman is led in, her wrists bound with leather straps, her face pale but defiant, like a candle refusing to gutter in a storm. She's accused of plotting against the crown, perhaps for hiding a fugitive priest in this age of Tudor turmoil. You hear her breaths, sharp and uneven, and you feel it too, don't you? That knot in your chest, as if you're standing in her place. The guards move with quiet precision, their boots soft on the rushes strewn across the floor. They guide her to the device, and you notice the way her eyes flicker, taking in the metal frame, the screws, the chains. She's no fool, she knows what awaits. You want to whisper to her, to tell her to flee, but you're only a shadow here, tethered to this moment. The interrogator steps forward, a man in a velvet doublet, his voice smooth as polished stone. Confess, he says, and this ends. But her lips are sealed, her gaze steady, and you wonder what gives her such strength. Faith, fury, or simply the stubborn hope that silence will save her. The guards lower her to her knees, positioning her within the frame, and you hear the faint clink of metal, like coins dropped in a well. The scavenger's daughter is a cruel paradox, a device that embraces to destroy. Picture it like a medieval version of folding yourself into a too small box, the kind you'd struggle with as a child, laughing until the lid snapped shut. But there's no laughter here. The guards tighten the clamps, forcing her to curl forward, knees to chest, head to knees, spine bent into an impossible curve. You hear the creak of the screws, slow and deliberate, each turn a note in a grim lullaby. She gasps, her breath catching, and you flinch, don't you? Even safe in your bed, you can almost feel the pressure, the way it squeezes the air from your lungs. The device is named for Sir Leonard Skevington, a lieutenant of the Tower of London under Henry VIII, who crafted this torment in the 1540s. It is like naming a storm after its maker, fitting tribute to a man who forged suffering from steel. Let's pause, just for a breath, and step back into the world outside this hall. The 16th century is a time of upheaval, where England's break from Rome has set faith against faith, crown against cross. The Reformation has torn the old order apart, and loyalty is a coin easily spent. The scavenger's daughter, though rarely named in chronicles, was whispered of in the tower cells, where men and women like our accused face the wrath of a suspicious crown. You can imagine a scribe, perhaps Thomas More himself before his own fall, noting such devices in a coded letter, his quill trembling as he wrote. This was not just punishment, it was a message, a way to crush rebellion in body and soul. Back in the hall, the screws turn again, and the woman's gasps become a low moan, like the wind through a cracked window. You notice the candlelight now, how it flickers, casting shadows that seem to curl around her, as if the device itself is alive. The interrogator circles, his boots whispering on the rushes, his questions sharp but calm names. Dates, secrets. Each silence from her brings another twist to the screws, another inch of compression. You feel it too, don't you? The way the air grows tighter, as if the hall is shrinking with her. The guards stand at the edges, their faces blank, but you catch one glancing away, as if the sight is too much even for him. The scavenger's daughter was not meant to kill, at least, not outright. It was a tool of endurance, forcing the body into a knot until confession spilled or the spirit broke. Unlike the Iron Maiden's piercing spikes, this device crushed, squeezing breath and will until nothing remained. You can picture the smith who forged it, can't you? His hammer ringing in a smoky forge, shaping the frame with care, telling himself it's just a job, like crafting a gate or a chain. But this was no tool for honest work. This was a machine of submission, and you feel its weight in the room, heavy as the silence between the woman's moans. Let's linger here, in the dim light. The candles burn low, their wax pooling like tears on the floor. You hear the soft rustle of the tapestries, the distant howl of wind through the fortress walls. The woman's moans grow quieter now, her body folded tight, her strength fading like a candle's flame. The interrogator pauses, his hand on the screw, and for a moment, you think he might relent. But then he leans close, his voice a whisper, like a friend sharing a secret. Speak, and you'll breathe free. You want to believe him, don't you? But the glint in his eyes, half hidden by the candle light, tells another story. The hall feels smaller now, the shadows closer, as if the device itself is drawing you in. The scavenger's daughter was a rare tool, its use confined to the darkest corners of the tower. But its legend spread. In the courts of Elizabeth I's reign, it was whispered as a fate for traitors, a punishment that left no mark yet broke the strongest. You can imagine the tales told in alehouses, the hushed voices recounting the daughter's embrace, each story darker than the last. It's like a medieval ghost tale, isn't it? The kind you'd hear by a fire, half smiling, half shivering, wondering if it's true. But here, in this hall, it's all too real. You notice the woman's hands now, clenched so tight her knuckles are white, and you wonder what keeps her silent. Loyalty, fear, or simply the hope that this will end? As the interrogation drags on, you hear the soft drip of wax, the steady rhythm lulling you even in this place of pain. The candles are nearly spent, their light a faint glow in the gloom. The woman's moans are barely audible now, her body a tight knot within the frame. The guards shift, their armor clinking softly, like a distant bell. The interrogator's questions grow softer, almost a chant, but her silence holds. Stubborn as the oak beams above, you want to look away, to let the shadows swallow this scene. But something holds you here, a curiosity, sharp as the screws themselves. What truths are worth this torment? What lies are worth this silence? Let's step back, friends, before the next turn of the screw. The hall feels colder now, the wind outside rising, rattling the tapestries like restless spirits. You hear the drip of wax again, steady, soothing, pulling you back to your own time. The scavenger's daughter has shown us the 16th century's hardest suspicion, its strife, its unrelenting grip on loyalty. But the story does not end here. As we leave this shadowed hall, let your mind wander to another time, another place, where the tools of justice grow stranger still. The 17th century awaits, and with it, a device that drowns the truth in water, the dunking stool. Its name sounds almost playful, like a game at a fair, but its story will ripple through your dreams or keep you sleepless. Picture yourself by a muddy bank, the year 1650, where the air smells of wet reeds and wood smoke, and the sky hangs low, heavy with the threat of rain. You're no longer in the shadowed hall of our last tale, but the chill of that place lingers, doesn't it? You stand at the edge of a village pond, its surface rippling in the breeze, reflecting the flicker of torches held by a gathered crowd. Their faces are stern, their whispers sharp, like the rustle of dry leaves. At the water's edge stands a wooden contraption, simple yet sinister, a chair fixed to a long beam, poised over the murky depths. This is the dunking stool, and its name carries a deceptive lilt, like a nursery rhyme hiding a darker truth. Can you feel it? The damp air on your skin, the way the ground squelches beneath your feet. You step closer, a ghost in this world, unseen yet caught in its current. The dunking stool is no intricate machine like the scavenger's daughter. It's rough-hewn. It's wood-weathered by rain and time. The chair scarred with scratches as if it bears the marks of those who sat before. It's almost quaint, isn't it? Like something you'd find in a village fair, waiting for a game of jest. But you know better. This is no seat for laughter, it's a throne of judgment, designed to drown defiance in water's cold embrace. A woman is led forward, her hands bound with coarse rope, her dress patched and worn. She's accused of witchcraft, perhaps for a whispered curse or a neighbor's cow gone dry. You hear her breaths, quick and sharp, like the splash of a stone in the pond. You want to reach out, to pull her from this place, but you're only a shadow, tethered to this moment. The crowd parts, their eyes glinting with a mix of fear and fervor. You notice a man in a black cloak, a magistrate perhaps, his voice booming as he reads her crimes, witchcraft, maleficium, consorting with spirits. His words are heavy, like stones dropped into the water, and the crowd murmurs in response, their voices a low drone, like bees stirred from their hive. The woman's face is pale, but her eyes burn with something fierce defiance, perhaps, or simply the will to endure. You feel it too, don't you? That tightening in your chest, as if you're standing in her place. The cold water lapping at your feet. The guards tie her to the chair, the ropes creaking as they knot them tight. You hear the wood groan as the beam is raised, tilting her over the pond's dark surface. It's like a medieval version of a carnival dunk tank, only there's no prize here. No laughter, only the promise of a cold plunge. The magistrate raises a hand, and the crowd falls silent, their breaths held, their eyes fixed on the woman. You hear the soft lap of water against the bank, the distant croak of a frog. And then the beam dips. She's plunged into the pond, the water swallowing her with a muffled splash. You flinch, don't you? Even safe in your bed, you can almost feel the shock of the cold, the way it steals your breath. She surfaces, gasping, her hair plastered to her face, but the beam lives only to drop again. And again, each dunk a question, each gasp an answer. The crowd watches, some shouting, others praying, and you wonder, what do they seek? Truth, justice, or simply the spectacle of a woman fighting the water's grip? Let's pause, just for a moment, and step back from the pond's edge. Why such a punishment? Why water, with its ancient, cleansing power? The 17th century is a time of superstition and strife, where England's civil wars have fractured trust, and fear of witches haunts every village. The dunking stool, used widely in England and the American colonies by the 1650s, was a tool of trial as much as torment. Records, like those of the Puritan preacher Cotton Mather, speak of women dunked to test their guilt if they floated. They were witches if they sank. Innocent, though often too late. You can imagine Mather, his pen scratching in a candlelit study, justifying the stool as God's judgment, though the water cared little for his words. This was not just punishment, it was a ritual, a way to purge fear in a world trembling with uncertainty. Back by the pond, the woman is dunked again, her gasps weaker now, her body shivering in the chair. You notice the water now, how it ripples outward, catching the torchlight like shards of glass. The magistrate's voice rises, demanding confession, but her lips are pressed tight, water dripping from her chin. You want to whisper to her, to tell her to speak, but you see the fire in her eyes, and you wonder what keeps her silent. Faith in her innocence? Defiance against her accusers? Or simply the knowledge that confession might lead to a worse fate? The beam lifts, then drops, and the water claims her again, its surface closing over her like a lid. The dunking stool was not meant to kill outright, though it often did. It was a test, a public shaming, a way to force truth from lips too stubborn to speak. Unlike the scavenger's daughter's crushing embrace, this device used water's weight. Its cold, its relentless pull. You can picture the carpenter who built it, can't you? Some village craftsman, his hands calloused as he shaped the beam, telling himself it's just a chair, like one he'd make for a tavern or a church. But this was no seat for rest. This was a tool of judgment, and you feel its presence by the pond, heavy as the damp air clinging to your skin. Let's linger here, in the fading torchlight. The crowd's murmurs grow softer, their faces blurred in the mist. You hear the water's steady lap, the creak of the beam, the woman's ragged breaths as she's pulled up again. Her dress clings to her, heavy with water, and you notice the way her hands grip the chair's arms, knuckles white as bone. The magistrate paces, his cloak flapping like a raven's wings, his questions sharper now. But her silence holds, stubborn as the reeds at the pond's edge. You feel it too, don't you? The way the air grows colder, as if the water's chill has seeped into the night. The torches sputter, their flames struggling against the damp, and you wonder, what does the crowd see in her? A witch, a victim, or simply a mirror of their own fears? The dunking stool was a common sight in this century, its use woven into village life like a grim tradition. In places like Salem, later in the 1690s, it would gain infamy. But here, in this English village, it's just another day's justice. You can imagine the stories told by firelight, the whispers of women dunked and drowned, each tale growing darker with the telling. It's like a medieval ghost story, isn't it? The kind you'd hear in a tavern, half laughing, half shivering, wondering if the water really knows the truth. But here, by the pond, it's all too real. You notice the woman's strength fading, her head lolling as the beam lifts her again, water streaming from her like tears. As the dunking continues, you hear the soft patter of rain beginning to fall, mingling with the pond's ripples. It's soothing, isn't it? Even in this place of torment, there's a rhythm, a steady cadence that pulls you back to your own quiet room. The crowd grows restless, some turning away, their cloaks pulled tight against the rain. The magistrate's voice softens, almost pleading now, but the woman's silence is a wall, unyielding. You want to look away, to let the mist swallow the scene, but something holds you here, a curiosity, sharp as the water's bite. What truths are worth this ordeal? What lies are worth this silence? Let's step back, friends, before the next plunge. The pond's surface stills, reflecting the dying torches like a broken mirror. You hear the rain's steady drum, the distant bark of a dog, the creak of the beam as it sways in the wind. The dunking stool has shown us the 17th century's heart, its fear, its superstition, its desperate need for certainty in a world of shadows. But the story does not end here. As we leave this muddy bank, let your mind wander to another time, another place, where the tools of justice grow heavier, more unyielding. The 18th century awaits, and with it, a device that binds the body in iron and shame, the pillory. Its name sounds simple, almost ordinary, but its story will weigh on your dreams or keep you sleepless. As you lie there, cradled in the quiet of your room, the world outside fading like a candle's last flicker. Picture yourself in a bustling market square, the year 1750, where the air hums with the scent of fresh bread, rotting fruit, and the sharp tang of unwashed bodies. You're no longer by the muddy pond of our last tale, but the damp chill of that place lingers, doesn't it? You stand among a restless crowd, their voices a jumbled chorus of jeers and whispers, their boots scuffing the cobblestones. At the center of the square, raised on a wooden platform, stands a simple device to wooden boards. Hinged and pierced with holes, its weathered grain stained with the memory of countless hands. This is the pillory, and its name carries the weight of public scorn, like a storm cloud ready to break. Can you feel it? The press of the crowd, the way their eyes burn with judgment? You step closer, a ghost in this world, unseen yet caught in its clamor. The pillory is no intricate machine like the scavenger-esque daughter, or the dunking stool-esque grim beam. It's plain, almost crude, its boards worn smooth by years of use. It looks like something you'd find in a carpenter's yard, doesn't it? A piece of furniture forgotten in the rain. But you know better. This is no ordinary stand, it's a stage. A place where shame is the punishment and the crowd is the executioner. A man is led forward, his hands unbound, but his shoulders slumped, as if he carries the weight of every stare. He's accused of fraud, perhaps for selling watered ale or cheating at cards in the tavern's smoky glow. You hear his breaths, heavy and uneven, like the thud of a hammer on wood. You want to turn away, don't you? But the crowd's energy pulls you in, and you're trapped, just as he is, in the pillory's public gaze. The guards move with rough efficiency, their coats patched and dusty from the road. They lift the pillory's top board, guiding the man's head and wrists into the holes, then slam it shut with a thud that echoes across the square. You flinch, don't you? Even safe in your bed, you can almost feel the wood's grip, the way it pinches the skin. His face is exposed now, framed like a portrait, his eyes darting over the crowd. You notice a woman at the edge, clutching a basket of wilted cabbages, her lips curled in a sneer. Is she his neighbor? A wrong customer? Or just another soul drawn to this theater of shame? The magistrate steps forward, a stout man in a powdered wig, reading the charges in a voice that carries over the din: fraud, deception, betrayal of trust. The crowd roars, their jeers rising like a wave, and you feel it too, don't you? The weight of their judgment, pressing down like a heavy cloak. The pillory is no mere restraint. It's a performance, a ritual where the accused becomes the villain in a play written by the crowd. Picture it like a medieval version of a public shaming on one of those newfangled broadsheets, only here, the ink is mud, rotten eggs, and worse. The first missile flies a soft, overripe tomato, bursting against the man's shoulder with a wet splat. He winces, but the crowd laughs, their voices sharp and cruel. You hear the squelch of mud underfoot, the cackle of a child tossing a pebble, the low hum of a hymn from a pious onlooker. The man tries to duck, but the pillory holds him fast, his neck chafing against the rough wood. You want to shield him, don't you? But you're only a shadow here, caught in the square's chaotic rhythm. Let's pause, just for a breath, and step back from the clamor of the square. Why such a punishment? Why this public spectacle, where the crowd becomes both judge and executioner? The 18th century is a time of shifting tides, where cities swell with trade and talk of reason begins to challenge old fears. Yet, in villages and towns across England, the pillory remains a fixture, a relic of a world that clings to shame as justice. Records from the time, like those in the Old Bailey's court ledgers of 1750, describe men and women locked in its grip for crimes as small as libel or as grave as sedition. You can imagine a clerk, his quill scratching in a candlelit room, noting the sentences with a weary hand, as if the pillory's weight presses on him too. This was not just punishment, it was a lesson, a way to mark the guilty for all to see. Back in the square, another missile flies a cabbage this time, its leaves limp and slimy, striking the man's cheek with a dull thud. He flinches, his eyes squeezing shut, but the pillory keeps him upright, exposed. You notice the crowd now, how their faces shift from anger to glee, as if this is a game, a fair day sport. A boy, no older than 10, tosses a clod of mud, giggling as it splatters across the man's chest. You want to chide him, don't you? To tell him this is no jest. But you see the spark in his eyes, the thrill of being part of the mob. The man's face reddens, not just from the cold or the blows, but from the shame, burning hotter than any fire we saw in that distant village square. You feel it too, don't you? That heat in your own cheeks, as if you're standing in his place, the crowd's eyes boring into you. The pillory was not meant to kill, though it could disease from filthy missiles, or a stone thrown to hard might end a life. Its true weapon was humiliation, stripping away dignity like bark from a tree. Unlike the dunking stool's cold plunge, this device held you high, a spectacle for all to judge. You can picture the carpenter who built it, can't you? Some village craftsman, his hand steady as he planed the boards, telling himself it's just a frame, like one he'd make for a market stall. But this was no stall for trade. This was a stage for scorn, and you feel its presence in the square, heavy as the cobblestones beneath your feet. Let's linger here, in the fading light of the market. The air grows colder now, the scent of rain mingling with the crowd's sweat and the rotting fruit at their feet. You hear the creak of the pillory's hinges as the man shifts, trying to ease the ache in his neck. But the wood holds fast. A woman in the crowd, her shawl pulled tight, throws an apple core, her face twisted with righteous anger. You wonder, what did this man do to her? Cheat her of a coin? Betray a trust? Or is she simply caught in the square's fever, where judgment is a shared meal? The magistrate watches from a nearby balcony, his wig slightly askew, sipping wine as if this is just another day's work. You want to shout at him, to ask if this is justice, but your voice is lost in the crowd's roar. The pillory was a common sight in this century, its use woven into the fabric of towns from London to Boston. It punished not just the body, but the name, branding the accused as an outcast long after the boards were lifted. You can imagine the stories told in alehouses, the whispers of men and women locked in the pillory, their names mocked and ballads sung by firelight. It's like a medieval version of a scandal sheet, isn't it? the kind you'd read with a smirk, half pitying, half glad it's not you. But here, in this square, it's all too real. You notice the man's eyes now, how they dart from face to face, searching for mercy but finding only scorn. What keeps him silent? Pride? Resignation? Or simply the knowledge that words won't stop the crowd's wrath? As the hours drag on, the crowd thins, their missiles spent, their voices hoarse. You hear the soft patter of rain beginning to fall, slicking the cobblestones and washing the mud from the man's face. It's soothing, isn't it? Even in this place of shame, there's a rhythm, a gentle cadence that pulls you back to your own quiet room. The man's head lolls now, his strength fading, but his eyes are open, fixed on the horizon, as if he sees something beyond the square. You want to know what he sees, don't you? Redemption, escape, or just the end of this long day? The guards linger, their coats damp, waiting for the magistrate's signal to release him. But the pillory holds him still, its boards unyielding, like the judgment of the crowd. Let's pause here, friends, in the quiet of the rain. The torches hiss, their flames struggling against the damp, and the square feels emptier now, the crowd's energy fading like a spent fire. You notice the man's hands, how they twitch in the pillory's grip, as if reaching for something lost. The magistrate descends from his balcony, his wine glass empty, and you wonder, what does he think of this justice? Does he see order restored, or just another name crossed off his ledger? The rain falls harder now, a steady drum that lulls you, even in this place of scorn. The pillory has shown us the 18th century's heart, its hunger for order, its love of spectacle, its unrelenting grip on reputation. But the story does not end here. As we leave this rain-soaked square, let your mind wander to another time, another place, where the tools of justice grow stranger, more intimate. The 19th century awaits, and with it, a device that binds not just the body but the voice, the scold's bridle. Its name sounds almost quaint, like a harness for a wayward horse, but its story will tighten your throat and linger in your dreams or keep you sleepless. Picture yourself in a narrow village lane, the year 1850, where the air carries the scent of coal smoke and damp wool, and gas lamps cast a feeble glow on the cobblestones. You're no longer in the bustling square of our last tale, but the sting of that crowd's scorn lingers, doesn't it? You stand at the edge of a small crowd, their faces half hidden in the evening mist, their murmurs soft but sharp, like the rustle of dead leaves. At the lane's end, a woman stands, her head bowed, her shoulders tense, as a strange device is fastened around her face, a metal cage, its bars glinting in the lamplight. This is the scold's bridle, and its name sounds almost quaint, like a harness for a wayward pony. But you feel its truth, don't you? The way the air grows heavy, as if the village itself is holding its judgment close. You step closer, a ghost in this world, unseen yet caught in its tension. The scold-esque bridle is no grand machine like the Iron Maiden or the dunking stool-esque crude beam. It's small, intricate, a lattice of iron shaped to encase the head, with a metal bit that presses against the tongue. It looks almost delicate, doesn't it? Like a piece of jewelry crafted for a grim masquerade. But you know better. This is no ornament, it's a muzzle, designed to silence words and spirit alike. The woman, accused of slander, perhaps for gossiping about a neighbor's debts or cursing the local magistrate, stands rigid as the bridle is locked in place. You hear her breaths, muffled and strained, like wind trapped in a chimney. You want to reach out, to loosen the straps, but you're only a shadow here, tailored to this moment. The crowd watches, their eyes glinting with a mix of pity and disapproval. You notice a man in a top hat, his hands clasped behind his back, reading her sentence in a voice as dry as parchment. Slander, disruption, a tongue too sharp for the village's peace. His words are calm, but they cut, and the crowd nods, their murmurs rising like a tide. The woman's face is half hidden by the bridle, but her eyes burn, defiant or desperate. You can't quite tell. You feel it too, don't you? That tightening in your throat, as if the iron bit presses against your own tongue. The constable, a burly man with a weathered coat, adjusts the bridle straps, and you hear the faint clink of metal, like a key turning in a lock. She's led forward, paraded through the lane, and you follow, drawn into this quiet spectacle of shame. The scold's bridle is no mere restraint. It's a punishment of silence, a way to choke words before they can spill. Picture it like a 19th century version of being told to bite your tongue. Only here, the bite is real and the tongue bleeds. The bit presses hard, making speech impossible, and you flinch, don't you? Even safe in your bed, you can almost feel the metal's cold weight, the way it stifles breath and voice. The woman stumbles slightly, her steps uneven on the cobblestones, and the crowd follows, some jeering, others silent, their faces pale in the lamplight. You notice a girl, clutching her mother's skirt, staring wide-eyed at the bridal woman. Is she learning a lesson, or simply caught in the lane's grim drama? The constable keeps a steady pace, leading her toward the village square, where more eyes await. Let's pause, just for a breath, and step back from the misty lane. Why such a device? Why this intimate cruelty, aimed at the voice itself? The 19th century is a time of change, where steam engines rumble and cities grow. But in villages like this, old ways hold fast. The scold's bridle, used in Britain and parts of Europe since the 16th century, but still lingering in 1850, was a tool to curb unruly women, those whose words stirred trouble or challenged order. Court records, like those from the Lancashire Assizes, note its use for gossip, slander, or even public scolding, though by this time it was fading, a relic of a harsher age. You can imagine a clerk, his pen scratching in a dusty office, recording the sentence with a sigh, as if the bridle's weight rests on him too. This was not just punishment, it was control. A way to silence dissent in a world that prized quiet obedience. Back in the lane, the woman is led onward, the bridle's bars catching the lamplight like a cage of stars. You notice her hands now, clenched at her sides, her knuckles white as chalk. The crowd's murmurs grow louder as they reach the square, where a wooden post stands, ready to tether her for display. The constable ties her there, the rope creaking softly, and you hear the muffled sound of her breathing, strained by the bit. You want to whisper to her, to tell her to hold fast, but you see the fire in her eyes, and you wonder what keeps her upright. Pride, defiance, or simply the stubborn hope that this will pass? The crowd presses closer, some tossing insults, others staring in silence, and you feel it too, don't you? The weight of their gaze, like a heavy fog settling over the square. The scold's bridle was not meant to kill, but to wound the spirit, to make silence a punishment worse than pain. Unlike the pillory's public pelting, this device was personal, locking away the voice that dared to speak. You can picture the smith who forged it, can't you? His hammer ringing in a smoky forge, shaping the bars with care, telling himself it's just a commission, like crafting a gate or a log. But this was no tool for security. This was a cage for words, and you feel its presence in the square, heavy as the mist curling around your ankles. Let's linger here, in the dim glow of the gas lamps. The crowd's voices soften, their insults spent, and the square grows quieter. The only sound the woman's muffled breaths and the patter of rain beginning to fall. It's soothing, isn't it? Even in this place of shame, there's a rhythm, a gentle cadence that pulls you back to your own quiet room. The woman's eyes are half closed now, her strength fading, but she stands tall, the bridle glinting like a cruel crown. The constable lingers, his face unreadable, and you notice a woman in the crowd, her shawl pulled tight, turning away as if she can't bear to watch. You want to know her story, don't you? Is she a friend, ashamed to stay, or just another soul caught in this village's judgment? The scold's bridle was rare by this century, its use waning as reformers cried out against such cruelty. But in small towns, it lingered, a ghost of older times. You can imagine the tales told in parlors, the whispers of women silenced by iron, their names fading into gossip. It's like a 19th century ghost story, isn't it? The kind you'd hear by a hearth, half smiling, half shivering, wondering if words could ever be so dangerous. But here, in this square, it's all too real. You notice the woman's hands relax slightly, as if she's sinking into the silence. And you wonder, what does she hold back? Truth, anger, or simply the right to speak? The rain falls harder now, a steady drum that washes the cobblestones clean, but not her shame. As the night deepens, the crowd thins, their figures fading into the mist. You hear the soft hiss of the gas lamps, the creak of the post as the woman shifts, the distant bark of a dog. The constable begins to loosen the bridle, his fingers slow, as if reluctant to end this ritual. You want to cheer for her release, don't you? But the weight of the crowd's eyes lingers, and you know this moment will mark her long after the iron is gone. The rain's rhythm lulls you, even in this place of silence, and you feel the pull of your own time, your own quiet bed. The Scold's Bridal has shown us the 19th century's hardest fear of unruly voices. It's clinging to old ways, its quiet cruelty. But the story does not end here. As we leave this misty square, let your mind wander to another time, another place, where the tools of justice grow stranger, more fleeting. The 20th century awaits, and with it, a practice that binds not just the body but the community, the tarring and feathering. Its name sounds almost comical, like a prank gone wrong, but its story will stick to your dreams or keep you sleepless. Imagine yourself, friends, standing at the edge of a dusty town square, the year 1920, where the air smells of pine sap and engine oil, and the sun hangs low, casting long shadows across cracked earth. The mist of that 19th century village has faded, but the weight of judgment lingers, doesn't it? You're no longer watching a woman bound by iron, yet the echo of her silenced voice follows you here, to a place where punishment is loud, messy, and oh so public. You're part of a crowd now, their murmurs rising like a swarm of insects, their hands clutching stones, rotten apples, or something far worse, a bucket of steaming tar. At the square's heart, a man kneels, his shirt torn, his face pale with dread. This is tarring and feathering, a punishment that sounds like a prank from a bygone fair, but its sting is as old as the medieval tortures we've wandered through. Can you smell it? The sharp, acrid bite of tar, making your eyes water even from here? You drift closer, a ghost in this world, unseen yet caught in its heat. There's no grand device here, no wooden boards or iron cages like those we've seen before. Just a barrel of tar bubbling over a fire and a sack of feathers, their white tips glinting in the fading light. It's almost absurd, isn't it? Like a child's game gone horribly wrong, as if someone decided to dunk a man in glue and a pillow stuffing. But you know better. This is no jest, it's a ritual of humiliation, rooted in the same grim spirit as the pillory's public scorn. The man, accused of dodging the draft or perhaps speaking out against the town's powerful, looks up, his eyes searching the crowd for mercy. You hear his breaths, ragged and quick, like a horse spooked by thunder. You want to turn away, don't you? But the crowd's energy pulls you in, and you're trapped, just as he is, in this sticky spectacle. The crowd surges, their voices sharp with anger. You notice a woman, her apron stained with flour, shouting accusations, cowardice, betrayal, disloyalty to the nation. Her words are like stones, heavy and unyielding, and the crowd echoes her, their jeers rising like a wave. A man in overalls, his face red from the sun, dips a ladle into the tar, its surface black and gleaming, like molten night. You flinch, don't you? Even safe in your bed, you can almost feel the heat, the way it radiates from the barrel. The accused is held down by two burly men, their hands rough on his shoulders, and the first ladle of tar is poured, slow and deliberate, across his back. He cries out, a raw, broken sound that cuts through the crowd's noise, and you feel it too, don't you? That burning in your own skin, as if the tar's heat has reached across time. Tarring and feathering is no gentle punishment. It's a brutal dance, a way to mark the outcast with pain and shame. Picture it like a medieval version of being slathered in hot syrup and rolled in confetti. Only here, the syrup burns, and the confetti clings like a curse. The tar, hot enough to blister, but not to kill, seeps into his clothes, his skin, his dignity. Then come the feathers, tossed by eager hands, sticking to the tar like snow to a wet cloak. The crowd laughs now, their anger turning to glee, and you hear the rustle of feathers, the soft thump of more tar being ladled on. You notice a boy, no older than 12, tossing a handful of feathers with a grin, as if this is a game. Is he mimicking his elders? Or does he truly believe this man deserves his fate? You want to pull him back, to ask him why. But you're only a shadow here, caught in the square's grim carnival. Let's pause, just for a breath, and step back from the heat of the square. Why such a punishment? Why this messy, public cruelty, so far removed from the iron and wood of earlier centuries? The 20th century, despite its motorcars and telegraphs, still clings to old ways of justice, especially in small towns across America or Britain. Tarring and feathering with roots in medieval Europe, used as early as the 12th century against tax collectors, as noted in chronicles, like those of Richard of Devizes, found new life in the 1920s, often against those seen as shirking wartime duty or defying community norms. You can imagine a journalist scribbling in a smoky office, recording such acts with a mix of horror and fascination, knowing the tar stain lingers long after the feathers fall. This was not just punishment, it was a branding, a way to cast out the unwanted in a world still raw from war. Back in the square, another ladle of tar is poured, and the man's cries grow weaker, his body slumping under the weight. You notice the feathers now, how they cling to his arms, his face, turning him into something grotesque, like a creature from a nightmare. The crowd's laughter fades, replaced by a quieter satisfaction, as if their anger has been spent. You see a woman at the edge, her hands clasped, her face pale. Perhaps she knows him. Perhaps she regrets her jeers. You want to ask her, don't you? To know what drives this crowd to such cruelty. The tar cools, hardening like a second skin, and the feathers flutter in the breeze, some drifting to the ground like fallen leaves. You hear the crackle of the fire under the tar barrel, the distant hum of a wagon's wheels, and you feel the square's energy shift, as if the spectacle is nearing its end. Tarring and feathering was not meant to kill, though it could burn, infection, or a mob's unchecked fury might claim a life. Its true weapon was disgrace, marking the victim for all to see long after the tar was scraped pendolely. Imagine yourself on the outskirts of a colonial town, the year 1750, where the air is thick with the scent of pine and salt, and a faint tang of leather hangs heavy under a gray sky. The memory of that tar-soaked square lingers, doesn't it? The sting of its shame still pricks at your thoughts, but now you're somewhere new, standing in a clearing where a weathered wooden post rises from the earth, its surface scarred and splintered. Round it, a crowd gathers, their murmurs low, like the rustle of a distant storm. This is the whipping post, a simple name for a brutal truth. Tied to the medieval tortures, we've wandered through methods that make you sleepless, yet call you to dream. Can you hear it? The soft creak of rope, the whisper of wind through the pines? You drift closer, a ghost in this world, unseen yet pulled into its tension. The whipping post is no cunning device like the scold-esque bridle or the sticky mess of tar and feathers. It's just a post, stout and unyielding, driven deep into the ground, with iron rings bolted to its sides. It's almost unremarkable, isn't it? Like a fence post you'd pass in a field, unnoticed. But you know better. This is no marker for boundaries, it's a stage for pain, where the lash writes justice on flesh. A man is led forward, his shirt stripped away, his back bare to the chill air. He's accused of theft, perhaps a loaf of bread, or a silver spoon lifted from a merchant's table. You hear his breaths, sharp and uneven, like the crack of a twig underfoot. You want to look away, don't you? But the crowd's quiet anticipation holds you, and you're bound, just as he is, to this moment of reckoning. The crowd forms a loose circle, their faces a mix of grim resolve and uneasy curiosity. You notice a woman, her bonnet frayed, clutching a child's hand, her eyes fixed on the ground. Is she here to judge, or does she fear the lashes echo in her own life? A constable steps forward, his coat patched and faded, uncoiling a leather whip that gleams with use. Its tail curls like a snake, and you flinch, don't you? Even safe in your bed, you can almost feel the weight of it in the air. The man is tied to the post, his wrists secured through the iron rings, his body stretched taut. The constable raises the whip, and the crowd falls silent, their breaths held, as if the world pauses for the first stroke. You hear the whistle of the lash, sharp and swift, and then the crack as it meets flesh, a sound that cuts through the clearing like a blade. The man gasps, his body jerking, and you feel it too, don't you? That sting in your own shoulders, as if the whip's echo reaches across time. The whipping post is no mere punishment. It's a ritual, a public accounting where pain is the currency and the crowd the witness. Picture it like a medieval version of a schoolmaster's cane. Only here, the lesson is carved in blood, not chalk. The whip falls again, and again, each stroke counted aloud by the constable. 1, 2, 3, his voice steady, like a metronome. The man's back reddens, then splits, and you notice the way his fingers grip the ropes, knuckles pale as bone. The crowd murmurs, some in approval, others in discomfort, and you wonder what brings them here? Justice of vengeance? Or simply the need to see order restored? The lash falls again, and you hear the soft patter of blood on the dirt, a sound as quiet as rain, but far heavier. Let's pause, just for a breath, and step back from the clearing's edge. Why such a punishment? Why this raw, unyielding pain, so different from the bridal silent shame? The 18th century is a time of empires and rebellion, where colonies like this one in America or towns in Britain cling to old-world justice. The whipping post, common in the 1750s as noted in colonial records like those of Virginia's court ledgers, was a tool to punish petty crimes, thieves, drunks, or those who broke the Sabbath. You can imagine a scribe, his quill scratching in a drafty office, tallying the lashes with a weary hand, as if the post shadow looms over him too. This was not just punishment, it was a warning, a way to etch obedience into the community's memory. Back in the clearing, the whip falls again, the constable's count reaching 10. The man's gasps turn to low moans, like the wind through the pines, and you notice the crowd's mood shifting. Some turn away, their faces pale, while others lean closer, their eyes bright with something you can't name, anger, perhaps, or fascination. You want to ask them, don't you? To know what drives this need to watch, to judge. The woman with the child steps back, pulling her son closer, and you wonder if she sees her own fears in the man's wounds. The constable pauses, wiping sweat from his brow, the whip dangling like a tired snake. The man slumps against the post, his strength fading, but his eyes are open, fixed on the horizon, as if seeking something beyond the crowd's gaze. The whipping post was not meant to kill, though it could. 40 lashes, as prescribed in some colonies, might leave a man broken, bleeding, or worse. Its true power was in its visibility, marking the body for all to see, like a brand burned into flesh. Unlike the tarring and feathering sticky disgrace, this punishment was direct, raw, unadorned. You can picture the carpenter who shaped the post, can't you? His hands rough as he drove it into the ground, telling himself it's just a job, like building a barn or a bridge. But this was no structure for shelter. This was a pillar of pain, and you feel its presence in the clearing, heavy as the clouds gathering overhead. Let's linger here in the fading light. The air grows cooler now, the scent of pine mingling with the coppery tang of blood. You hear the soft rustle of leaves, the distant call of a crow, and the steady rhythm of the constable's count 20, 21, 22. The man's moans grow quieter, his body sagging against the ropes, and you notice the crowd thinning, their energy spent. A man in a tricorn hat tosses a stone, not at the accused but at the ground, as if unsure of his own anger. You want to know his story, don't you? Is he a merchant cheated by the thief, or just another soul caught in this ritual of justice? The whip falls again, and you feel the clearing's silence deepen, as if the post itself absorbs the sound. The whipping post was a common sight in this century, its use stretching from England's villages to America's colonies. You can imagine the tales told by firelight, the whispers of men and women lashed for their crimes, their scars a story told long after the wounds healed. It's like an 18th century cautionary tale, isn't it? The kind you'd hear in a tavern, half wincing, half glad it's not you. But here, in this clearing, it's all too real. You notice the man's hands now, how they twitch in the ropes, as if reaching for freedom. His back is a map of pain, each lash a line drawn in blood, and you wonder what keeps him standing. Defiance? Resignation? Or simply the hope that this will end? As the lashes near their end, you hear the soft patter of rain beginning to fall, a gentle rhythm that mingles with the constable's count. It's soothing, isn't it? Even in this place of pain, there's a cadence, a quiet pull back to your own time, your own bed. The crowd disperses, their cloaks pulled tight against the rain, leaving only a few stragglers, their faces blurred in the dusk. The constable lowers the whip, his arm heavy, and the man is untied, his body slumping to the ground. You want to help him, don't you? To offer a hand, a word, but you're only a ghost here, watching as he stumbles away, the post standing silent behind him. The rain falls harder now, washing the blood from the earth, but not the memory of this day. Let's step away, friends, before the clearing empties completely. The rain's steady drum carries you back, its sound a soft tether to your own quiet space. The whipping post has shown us the 18th century's soulless hunger for order, its raw justice, its unrelenting mark on the body. But this journey through torment isn't over. As we leave this scarred post behind, let your thoughts drift to another era, another method, where pain becomes a spectacle of fire and fear. The 17th century calls us back to a time when the wheel of torture spun its cruel dance, a device that breaks not just bones, but hope itself. Its name whispers dread, and its story will haunt your dreams or keep you sleepless. Step with me into a grim fortress yard, the year 1650, where the air is thick with the scent of damp stone and burning pitch, and a cold wind carries the faint wail of a far-off bell. The echo of that scarred whipping post lingers, doesn't it? Its raw sting still pricks at your thoughts, but now you're drawn to a darker scene, where punishment spins like a cruel dance. You stand among a hushed crowd, their faces pale under a bruised sky, their whispers sharp as the crack of breaking wood. At the yard's heart looms a massive wheel, its spokes thick and weathered, chained to a frame that creaks in the breeze. This is the Wheel of Torture, a name that hums with dread. Rooted in the medieval torments, we've traced methods that steal sleep yet beckon dreams. Can you hear it? The groan of the wheel, turning slow, like a heartbeat in the dark. You glide closer, a ghost in this world, unseen yet snared in its weight. The Wheel of Torture is no delicate device like the Scold-esque bridle or the messy chaos of tar and feathers. It's a brute, its wooden rim scarred by time, its iron chains glinting dully in the torchlight. It looks almost like a cartwheel, doesn't it? Something you'd see trundling through a muddy lane. But you know better. This is no tool for travel, it's a machine of breaking, designed to shatter bones and spirit in a slow, relentless turn. A man is dragged forward, his hands bound with coarse rope, his shirt torn, revealing a back already bruised from rough handling. He's accused of heresy, perhaps for preaching forbidden words or hiding banned books in a time of religious strife. You hear his breaths, ragged and sharp, like the snap of a branch in a storm. You want to turn away, don't you? But the crowd's silence grips you, and you're bound, just as he is, to this spinning doom. The crowd presses close, their eyes glinting with fear and fascination. You notice a woman, her cloak patched, clutching a rosary, her lips moving in silent prayer. Is she here for justice, or does she fear the wheel's shadow over her own life? A soldier, his armor dented, steps forward, uncoiling a rope to secure the man to the wheel. The chains clank, heavy and cold, and you flinch, don't you? Even safe in your bed, you can almost feel the iron's bite, the way it digs into flesh. The man is lashed to the wheel, his arms and legs spread across its spokes, his body taut like a canvas stretched on a frame. The soldier steps back, and a hooded figure, the executioner, raises a heavy club, its wood worn smooth by use. The crowd holds its breath, and you hear the creak of the wheel as it begins to turn, slow and deliberate, like a mill grinding grain. The first blow falls, a dull thud against the man's leg, and his cry pierces the yard, sharp as a blade. You feel it too, don't you? That jolt in your own bones, as if the wheel's turn echoes through time. The Wheel of Torture is no simple punishment. It's a spectacle, a dance of pain where each turn of the wheel brings a new blow, a new break. Picture it like a medieval version of a grim carousel, only here, the ride offers no joy, just a relentless rhythm of suffering. The executioner strikes again, the club cracking against the man's arm, and you hear the snap of bone, a sound that cuts through the yard like a whip slash. The wheel turns, slow and steady, exposing a new part of his body to the club's weight. The man's cries weaken, turning to moans, like the wind moaning through a ruined tower. You notice the crowd now, some turning away, their hands covering their mouths, while others stare, their eyes wide, as if the wheel's spin has hypnotized them. You want to shout, to stop this brutal dance, but you're only a shadow here, caught in the wheel's grim rhythm. Let's pause, just for a breath, and step back from the fortress yard. Why such a punishment? Why this crushing, spinning cruelty, so far from the bridal silence or the whip's sharp sting? The 17th century is a time of division, where Europe's wars of religion sparked by the 30 Years' War, raging since 1618, have set faith against faith, and heresy is a spark that could ignite a town. The wheel of torture used in the German states and parts of France, as noted in grim accounts like those of the chronicler Philippus Camerarius, was a tool to break dissenters to show the cost of defying the church or state. You can imagine Camerarius, his quilt trembling in a candlelit study, recording the wheel's work with a heavy heart, as if its creak echoes in his dreams. This was not just punishment, it was a warning, a way to shatter rebellion in full view of the fearful. Back in the yard, the wheel turns again, and the executioner's club falls, this time on the man's shoulder. You hear another crack, another moan, and you notice the blood now, seeping through his torn shirt, staining the wheel's spokes. The crowd's murmurs grow softer, their faces pale in the torchlight. And you wonder what brings them here? Duty, fear, or a darker curiosity? A need to see justice carved into flesh? The woman with the rosary steps back, her fingers still moving. Her prayer's a faint whisper against the wheel's creak. You want to ask her, don't you? To know if she believes this man's pain serves God, or if she fears the wheel's judgment for herself. The executioner pauses, wiping sweat from his brow, the club heavy in his hands, and for a moment, you think the torment might end. But the wheel turns again, relentless, and you feel the yard's air grow heavier, as if the stones themselves are watching. The wheel of torture was not meant to spare. It broke bones, crushed hope, and often ended in death, though some survived, maimed and marked forever. Unlike the whipping post's visible scars, this device worked deep, shattering the body's frame in a way that lingered long after the wheel stopped. You can picture the carpenter who built it, can't you? His hands steady as he shaped the spokes, telling himself it's just a wheel, like one for a cart or mill. But this was no tool for harvest or journey. This was a machine of ruin, and you feel its presence in the yard, heavy as the clouds pressing down from above. Let's linger here, in the flickering torchlight. The air grows colder now, the scent of pitch mingling with the coppery tang of blood. You hear the soft patter of rain beginning to fall, hissing against the torches, and it's soothing, isn't it? Even in this place of pain, there's a rhythm, a gentle cadence that tugs at your own quiet room. The man's moans are faint now, his body limp against the wheel's spokes. And you notice the crowd thinning, their faces blurred in the dusk. A boy, his cap askew, stares at the wheel, his eyes wide with something fear, awe, or both. You want to know his thoughts, don't you? Does he see justice, or just a nightmare he'll carry into sleep? The executioner lowers his club, his breath heavy, and the wheel slows, its creak softer, like a lullaby gone wrong. The wheel of torture was a grim fixture in this century, its use fading as enlightenment stirred. But in these years, it spun its cruel dance in fortress yards and town squares. You can imagine the tales told in taverns, the hushed voices recounting the wheel's victims, their bones broken, their names forgotten. It's like a 17th century horror story, isn't it? The kind you'd hear by a fire, half shivering, half glad it's not you. But here, in this yard, it's all too real. You notice the man's hands now, how they hang loose in the ropes, as if reaching for something lost. His eyes are closed, his strength gone, and you wonder what kept him silent through the pain, faith, defiance, or simply the hope that this would end. As the rain falls harder, the crowd scatters, their cloaks pulled tight against the damp. You hear the soft hiss of the torches, the distant bark of a dog, the creak of the wheel as it comes to a stop. The executioner steps back, his club at his side, and the man is untied, his body slumping to the ground like a broken puppet. You want to help him, don't you? To offer a word, a hand, but you're only a ghost here, watching as he's carried away, the wheel standing silent behind him. The rain's rhythm lulls you, pulling you back to your own time, your own bed. But the wheel's shadow lingers, doesn't it? It's shown us the 17th century's soulless fear of dissent, its brutal justice, its unrelenting need to break the defiant. Yet this tale of torment isn't finished. As we slip away from this rain-soaked yard, let your thoughts drift to another time, another method, where pain becomes a public lesson etched in fire. The 16th century beckons us back to a time when the stake burned bright, a punishment that sears both body and memory. Its name crackles with dread. and its story will flicker in your dreams or keep you sleepless. Picture yourself, friends, standing in a windswept town square, the year 1550, where the air is sharp with the scent of charred wood and fear, and the sky glows red with the last light of dusk. The wheel's cruel spin still haunts you, doesn't it? Its grinding echo lingers like a shiver, but now you're pulled into a new scene, where flames cast a different kind of shadow. You're among a restless crowd, their breaths fogging in the chilly air, their murmurs rising like a tide against the cobblestones. At the square's heart, a wooden stake juts from a pile of kindling, its base surrounded by straw that crackles faintly in the breeze. This is the stake, a punishment as old as the medieval tortures we've wandered through, one that burns bright in the sleepless nights promised by our tale. Can you sense it? The heat prickling your skin, the crowd's tension wrapping around you like a rope. You drift closer, a ghost in this world, unseen yet tethered to its heat. The stake is no intricate device like the wheel of torture or the Scold S bridle S iron cage. It's simple, stark as single post, blackened by past fires, driven deep into the earth. It looks almost like a tree stripped of branches, doesn't it? Something natural, unassuming, but you know better. This is no symbol of life, it's a pyre, built to consume body and soul in a blaze of judgment. A woman is led forward, her hands bound with hemp, her dress plain and worn, her face pale but resolute. She's accused of witchcraft, perhaps for a healer-esque herbs found in her home or a neighbor-esque curse whispered in anger. You hear her breaths, steady but shallow, like the rustle of dry straw. You want to reach out, to pull her from this fate, but you're only a shadow, caught in the glow of the coming flames. The crowd presses in, their faces lit by torchlight, a mix of fear, anger, and grim curiosity. You notice a man, his hat clutched tight, muttering prayers under his breath. Is he here for justice, or does he fear the fire's judgment might one day find him? A priest steps forward, his robes heavy with embroidery, holding a cross aloft as he declaims her sin's witchcraft, consorting with demons, defying God's order. His voice is loud, but it trembles as if the flames already flicker in his thoughts. The woman is tied to the stake, the ropes creaking as they're knotted tight, and you flinch, don't you? Even safe in your bed, you can almost feel the rough hemp, the way it bites into skin. A torchbearer approaches, his flame held high, and the crowd falls silent, their eyes fixed on the straw at her feet. You hear the crackle as the torch touches kindling, a soft sound that grows, hungry and relentless. The first flames leap, and her gasp cuts through the silence, sharp as a blade. The stake is no mere punishment. It's a spectacle, a cleansing by fire that sears both flesh and memory. Picture it like a medieval version of a public execution gone wild, where the flames are both judge and executioner, burning away sin, or so they believed. The fire spreads, licking at the straw, then climbing the wood, and you notice the smoke now, thick and acrid, curling upward like a dark prayer. The woman's face is still, her eyes fixed on the sky, and you wonder, what does she see? Salvation? Defiance? Or simply the end? The crowd murmurs, some shouting curses, others whispering prayers, and you feel it too, don't you? The heat on your face, as if you're standing too close to the pyre. The flames roar higher, and her form blurs in the haze, a silhouette against the fire's glow. Let's pause, just for a breath, and step back from the square's blaze. Why such a punishment? Why this fiery ordeal, so different from the wheel's crush or the bridal's silence? The 16th century is a time of fracture, where the Reformation splits Europe, and fear of witches sparks panic in towns from England to Germany. The stake, used widely in the 1550s, as noted in grim records like those of the Malleus Maleficarum, was a tool to purge heresy and witchcraft, to burn away threats to God's order. You can imagine a monk, his quill scratching in a cold scriptorium, penning tales of witches burned, his candle flickering as if afraid of its own light. This was not just punishment, it was a ritual, a way to restore faith through fire in a world trembling with doubt. Back in the square, the flames climb higher, the heat pushing the crowd back. You notice the smoke now, how it stings your eyes. It's scent heavy with charred wood and something darker. The woman's gasps turn to silence, her head bowed, and you want to cry out, to douse the flames. But you're only a shadow here, caught in the fire's roar. The priest continues his prayers, his voice a drone against the crackle of burning straw. But you catch a flicker of unease in his eyes. Does he believe in her guilt? Or does the fire's hunger unsettle him too? The crowd's murmurs grow softer, their faces pale in the flickering light. And you wonder what drives them to watch? Fear of the devil? Faith in the church? Or a deeper need to see justice burn bright? The stake was not meant to spare. It consumed, leaving only ashes and memory. A punishment that ended life and name in one searing moment. Unlike the whipping post's lasting scars, this left nothing but dust, carried away by the wind. You can picture the woodsman who gathered the kindling, can't you? His hands rough as he stacked the straw, telling himself it's just a task, like cutting firewood for a hearth. But this was no hearth for warmth. This was a pyre for judgment, and you feel its heat in the square, heavy as the smoke curling around you. Let's linger here, in the fire's glow. The air grows hotter now, the scent of burning wood mingling with the crowd's sweat and fear. You hear the soft crackle of flames, the distant howl of wind through the town's narrow streets. And it's soothing, isn't it? Even in this place of horror, there's a rhythm, a cadence that tugs at your quiet room. The woman's form is nearly lost in the flames now, the stake blackened, the crowd stepping back as the heat grows fierce. A child, clutching his mother's hand, stares wide-eyed, and you want to know his thoughts, don't you? Does he see a witch, or just a woman swallowed by fire? The priest lowers his cross, his prayers trailing off, and the flames roar on, relentless, like a beast unbound. The stake was a grim hallmark of this century, its use peaking in times of witch hunts. From the burnings under Mary Tudor to the pyres of the Holy Roman Empire, you can imagine the tales told in hushed tones, the stories of witches and heretics burned, their ashes scattered to warn others. It's like a 16th century nightmare, isn't it? The kind you'd hear by a flickering hearth, half shivering, half glad it's not you. But here, in this square, it's all too real. You notice the crowd now, how some turn away, their faces ashen, while others stay, their eyes fixed on the pyre. The woman's silence holds, even as the flames consume her. And you wonder what gave her such strength. Faith, defiance, or simply the knowledge that no words could douse this fire? As the flames begin to die, the crowd scatters, their figures fading into the dusk. You hear the soft patter of ash falling, the distant cry of a night bird, the creak of a cart leaving the square. The stake stands alone now, charred and silent, its work done. You want to linger, don't you? To understand this brutal justice. But the smoke pulls you back, its rhythm lulling you to your own time, your own bed. The stake has shown us the 16th century's soulless fear of the unknown, its faith in fire, its unrelenting need to purge. Yet our journey through torment presses on. As we turn from this smoldering pyre, let your mind drift to another era, another punishment, where pain is measured not in flames, but in iron's cold grip. The 17th century calls us again to the gibbet, a cage that dangles death in the air. Its name chills the heart, and its story will weave through your dreams or steal your sleep. Let's wander to a lonely crossroads, the year 1650, where the air is heavy with the scent of damp earth and rust, and a pale moon casts shadows that twist like specters. The stake's fiery glow still lingers in your thoughts, doesn't it? Its searing heat clings to your memory, but now you're drawn to a colder fate, where punishment dangles in the night air. You stand among a sparse crowd, their faces gaunt under the moonlight, their whispers soft as the wind through bare branches. High above, swaying from a gnarled tree, hangs an iron cage, its bars rusted but unyielding, creaking as it sways. This is the gibbet, a name that chills like a winter gust. Tied to the medieval torments, we've traced punishments that haunt your dreams and keep you sleepless. Can you hear it? The cage's groan, like a mournful bell tolling in the dark. You drift closer, a ghost in this world, unseen yet bound to its dread. The gibbet is no intricate machine like the wheel of torture or the stake's fiery pyre. It's a simple cage, its iron bars forged to hold a human form, suspended high to be seen by all who pass. It looks almost like a bird cage, doesn't it? Something you'd hang in a tavern to house a chirping finch. But you know better. This is no home for the living, it's a prison for the condemned. Designed to trap body and name in a slow, public death. A man is shoved forward, his hands chained, his clothes tattered, his eyes hollow with fear. He's accused of highway robbery, perhaps for ambushing a merchant's cart on a moonless night. You hear his breaths, quick and shallow, like leaves skittering across the ground. You want to turn away, don't you? But the crowd's silence pulls you in, and you're caught, just as he is, in the gibbet's cold grip. The crowd is small, not like the roaring mobs of earlier tales, but their eyes are sharp, glinting in the moonlight. You notice an old man, his cloak patched, leaning on a stick, his face creased with something pity, perhaps, or grim satisfaction. Is he here to witness justice, or does he fear the cage's shadow over his own life? A soldier, his uniform stained with mud, steps forward, dragging the man toward a ladder propped against the tree. The chains clank, heavy and cold, and you flinch, don't you? Even safe in your bed, you can almost feel the iron's weight, the way it drags at the wrists. The man is forced into the cage, his body cramped, his knees bent to fit the narrow space. The door slams shut, its lock clicking like a bone snapping, and the cage is hoisted higher, the rope creaking as it sways. You hear his muffled groan, and you feel it too, don't you? That tightness in your chest, as if you're locked in with him. The gibbet is no swift punishment. It's a slow, deliberate doom, where death comes not from a blade or flame, but from exposure, hunger, and despair. Picture it like a medieval version of being left out in the cold, only here, the cold is eternal, and the world watches as you fade. The man shifts in the cage, his body pressed against the bars, his face visible to all who pass the crossroads. You notice the wind now, how it swings the cage gently, its creak a steady rhythm that echoes in the night. The crowd murmurs, some cursing the robber, others silent, their eyes fixed on the swaying cage. You want to shout, to free him from this iron prison, but you're only a shadow here, caught in the gibbet's grim vigil. Let's pause, just for a breath, and step back from the crossroads gloom. Why such a punishment? Why this lingering, public death, so different from the stake's fiery end or the wheel's crushing blows? The 17th century is a time of lawlessness and order, where highways crawl with bandits and towns cling to harsh justice to keep the peace. The gibbet, used widely in England and Europe, as noted in records like those of the assize courts of 1650, was a tool to deter crime, to show the cost of defiance in plain sight. You can imagine a magistrate, his quill scratching in a drafty hall, sentencing men to the cage with a heavy hand, as if the gibbet's weight rests on him too. This was not just punishment, it was a spectacle, a way to mark the guilty for travelers to see, a warning that lingered long after the body stilled. Back at the crossroads, the cage sways higher, the man's groans growing fainter as the night deepens. You notice the moonlight now, how it glints off the rusted bars, casting shadows that dance across the dirt. The crowd begins to disperse, their figures fading into the dark, but a few linger, their eyes fixed on the cage. You see a woman, her shawl drawn tight, whispering to a companion perhaps a tale of the robber's crimes or a prayer for his soul. You want to ask her, don't you? To know if she sees justice in this cage or just a man left to the wind's mercy. The soldier stands watch, his musket propped against the tree, and you notice his face, hard but uneasy, as if the gibbet's shadow unsettles him too. The man in the cage shifts again, his body cramped, his breath shallow, and you wonder what keeps him fighting. Fear and hope, or simply the instinct to survive? The gibbet was not meant to kill quickly. It left men to the elements: sun, rain, cold until hunger or exposure claimed them, sometimes over days. Unlike the scold's bridle silencing iron, this punishment was loud in its silence, a body displayed for all to judge. You can picture the smith who forged the cage, can't you? His hammer ringing in a smoky forge, shaping the bars with care, telling himself it's just a job, like crafting a gate or a chain. But this was no tool for security. This was a cage for death, and you feel its presence at the crossroads, heavy as the mist rolling in from the fields. Let's linger here, in the moon's pale glow. The air grows colder now, the scent of rust mingling with the damp earth. You hear the soft creak of the cage, the distant hoot of an owl, and it's soothing, isn't it? Even in this place of despair, there's a rhythm, a gentle cadence that tugs at your own quiet room. The man's groans are barely audible now, his body still against the bars, and you notice the crowd gone, leaving only the soldier and a stray dog sniffing at the tree's base. You want to know the man's story, don't you? Was he a desperate thief, or just a soul caught in a cruel world? The cage sways, its creak softer, like a lullaby twisted by dread. The soldier shifts, his boots crunching on the dirt, and you wonder if he feels the weight of this duty, or if it's just another night's watch. The gibbet was a grim fixture in this century, its use fading as courts turned to gallows, but at crossroads like this, it stood as a silent judge. You can imagine the tales told by travelers, the whispers of men left to rot in iron cages, their names lost to the wind. It's like a 17th century ghost story, isn't it? The kind you'd hear by a flickering fire, half shivering, half glad it's not you. But here, at this crossroads, it's all too real. You notice the man's hands now, how they hang limp in the chains, as if reaching for a freedom long gone. His eyes are closed, his strength fading, and you wonder what kept him alive this long. Defiance? Despair? Or simply the stubborn pulse of life? As the night deepens, the wind rises, rattling the cage like a mournful chime. You hear the soft patter of leaves falling, the distant bark of another dog, the creak of the rope as the cage sways. The soldier turns away, his watch nearing its end, and the man is left alone, a shadow in the moonlight. You want to stay, don't you? To see if he endures, but the wind pulls you back, its rhythm lulling you to your own time, your own bed. The gibbet has shown us the 17th century's heart, its fear of chaos, its harsh justice, its unrelenting need to display punishment. Yet our journey through torment continues. As we turn from this swaying cage, let your thoughts drift to another era, another method, where pain is not in iron but in the crowd's cruel hands. The 18th century beckons to the running of the gauntlet, a punishment that races through fear and flesh. Its name hums with urgency, and its story will pulse in your dreams or steal your sleep. Step with me, friends, into a tale that unfolds as you lie there, cradled in the hush of your room. The world outside slipping away like dust on a breeze. Imagine yourself in a dusty military camp, the year 1750, where the air smells of sweat, gunpowder, and crushed grass, and a late sun paints the tents in shades of gold and shadow. The gibbet's cold cage still sways in your mind, doesn't it? Its creaking echo lingers, but now you're drawn to a different ordeal, one that races through flesh and fear. You stand at the edge of a narrow path, lined by soldiers in faded red coats, their faces hard, their hands gripping sticks and belts. At the path's start, a man stands, his shirt torn, his eyes darting like a deer before the hunt. This is the running of the gauntlet, a name that pulses with urgency. Woven into the medieval torments with followed punishments that stir sleepless nights, yet lull you into dreams. Can you feel it? The tension in the air, sharp as a blade's edge? You drift closer, a ghost in this world, unseen yet caught in its pulse. The gauntlet is no crafted device like the gibbet's iron cage or the stake's fiery pyre. It's a living quarter, formed by men standing shoulder to shoulder, their weapons raised, their eyes fixed on the accused. It's almost like a game, isn't it? Something you'd see boys play in a village lane, chasing each other with sticks. But you know better. This is no child's sport, it's a trial by pain, where the crowd becomes the weapon. The man, accused of desertion, perhaps for fleeing a battle's chaos, stands trembling, his hands unbound but his body tense. You hear his breaths, quick and ragged, like the flutter of a trapped bird's wings. You want to pull him back, don't you? But the soldier's stares hold you, and you're bound, just as he is, to this brutal race. The soldiers form to lines, their boots scuffing the dirt, their sticks and belts raised like a forest of thorns. You notice a young drummer boy, his face pale, clutching his drumsticks, reluctant to join the line. Is he here to punish, or does he dread the role he must play? An officer, his voice sharp as a musket shot, barks the order to begin. The man is pushed forward, stumbling into the gauntlet's mouth, and the first blow falls a belt across his back, the crack echoing like a whip. He gasps, lurching forward, and you flinch, don't you? Even safe in your bed, you can almost feel the sting, the way it bites through cloth and skin. The soldiers strike in turn, sticks and belts raining down, each blow a beat in a grim rhythm. You hear the thuds, the man's stifled cries, and you feel it too, don't you? That jolt in your own shoulders, as if you're running beside him. The running of the gauntlet is no simple punishment. It's a trial, a public ordeal where pain is shared by the hands of many. Picture it like a medieval version of a schoolyard brawl. Only here, the blows are measured, and the crowd is judge, jury, and executioner. The man stumbles through the line, his steps faltering, his arms raised to shield his face. You notice the blood now, seeping through his shirt, staining the dirt at his feet. The soldiers' faces are hard, but some look away, their stripes weaker, as if they question this justice. You want to shout, to stop this cruel race, but you're only a shadow here, caught in the gauntlet's relentless pace. A woman, perhaps a camp follower, stands at the edge, her hands clasped, her eyes wet. Is she his wife, or just another soul drawn to this spectacle of pain? Let's pause, just for a breath, and step back from the camp's dust. Why such a punishment? Why this brutal quarter, so different from the gibbet's lonely cage or the stake's fiery end? The 18th century is a time of war and discipline, where armies march across Europe and the colonies, and desertion threatens the fragile order of the ranks. The running of the gauntlet used widely in military camps by 1750 is noted in records. Like those of the British Army's Articles of War, was a tool to punish and deter to show soldiers the cost of abandoning their post. You can imagine a clerk, his quill scratching in a tense dim light, logging the sentences with a heavy hand, as if the gauntlet's blows echo in his dreams. This was not just punishment, it was a lesson, a way to forge loyalty through fear. Back in the camp, the man stumbles forward, halfway through the gauntlet now, his body bruised and bleeding. You notice the soldiers' rhythm, how some strike hard, others barely, their sticks grazing rather than biting. The officer watches, his face unreadable, his sword glinting at his side. The man's cries grow weaker, his steps slower, but he pushes on, driven by some inner fire. You want to know what keeps him moving, don't you? Shame, survival, or simply the hope of reaching the end? The drummer boy, still at the edge, beats a slow rhythm, his sticks trembling, and you wonder if he feels the weight of this moment, or if it's just another order to obey. The blows keep falling, each one a thud in the dust, and you feel the camp's air grow heavier, as if the earth itself absorbs the pain. The gauntlet was not meant to kill, though it could. Too many blows, or strike too hard, might leave a man broken beyond repair. Its true power was in its collective nature, making every soldier complicit in the punishment. Unlike the wheel's crushing solitude, this was a shared ordeal, a ritual of discipline. You can picture the men who formed the line, can't you? Their hands gripping sticks, telling themselves it's just duty, like loading a musket or marching in step. But this was no ordinary drill. This was a quarter of pain, and you feel its presence in the camp, heavy as the dust settling on your skin. Let's linger here in the fading sunlight. The air grows cooler now, the scent of gunpowder mingling with the tang of blood. You hear the soft thud of the blows, the distant call of a bugle, and it's soothing, isn't it? Even in this place of punishment, there's a rhythm, a cadence that pulls you back to your own quiet room. The man nears the gauntlet's end, his body sagging, his breaths ragged but unbroken. The soldiers lower their sticks, some with relief, others with grim resolve, and you notice the crowd thinning, their figures fading into the dusk. The woman at the edge steps forward, her hands still clasped, and you want to know her story, don't you? Does she see justice in this, or just a man battered by duty? The officer signals the end, and the man collapses, free but broken, at the path's end. The running of the gauntlet was a grim fixture in this century, its use fading as armies modernized, but in camps like this, it was a stark reminder of discipline's cost. You can imagine the tales told around campfires, the whispers of men who ran the gauntlet, their scars a story told long after the blows stopped. It's like an 18th century legend, isn't it? The kind you'd hear in a soldier's tent, half wincing, half glad it's not you. But here, in this camp, it's all too real. You notice the man now, how he lies in the dirt, his chest heaving, his eyes fixed on the sky. What keeps him alive? Pride, defiance, or simply the stubborn pulse of life? As the sun sets, the camp grows quiet, the soldiers dispersing to their tents, their boots crunching on the grass. You hear the soft whistle of the wind, the distant bark of a dog, the faint rhythm of the drummer boy's fading beat. The man is carried away, his fate uncertain, and you want to follow, don't you? To see if he survives. But the dust settles, pulling you back to your own time, your own bed. The Gauntlet has shown us the 18th century's soulless hunger for order, its collective punishment, its unrelenting grip on loyalty. Yet our journey through torment isn't done. As we leave this dusty camp behind, let your thoughts drift to another time, another method, where pain is not in blows but in the body's own betrayal. The 16th century calls us back to the rack, a device that stretches truth and flesh alike. Its name whispers agony, and its story will twist through your dreams or steal your sleep. Let's slip into a shadowed chamber, the year 1550, where the air is thick with the scent of damp stone and old wood, and a single candle casts trembling shadows on the walls. The Gauntlet's brutal race still echoes in your mind, doesn't it? Its relentless blows linger like a bruise, but now you're drawn to a quieter torment, one that pulls at the very sinews of the body. You stand in a dimly lit dungeon, the floor cold beneath your feet, the silence broken only by the creak of chains and the soft drip of water. At the chamber's heart lies a wooden frame, long and low, its rollers gleaming with menace. This is the rack, a name that tightens the chest. Woven into the medieval torments with traced punishments that stir sleepless nights yet cradle you toward dreams. Can you feel it? The chill of the stone, the weight of the air pressing down? You drift closer, a ghost in this world, unseen yet bound to its dread. The rack is no crude tool like the Gauntlet-S sticks or the Gibbet-S swaying cage. It's a machine of precision, its wooden beams sturdy, its ropes and rollers taut with purpose. It looks almost like a bed, doesn't it? Something you lie on for rest, not ruin. But you know better. This is no place for sleep. It's a device to stretch truth from flesh, to pull the body apart in a slow, deliberate dance. A man is led in, his hands bound with coarse rope, his face gaunt with fear, his eyes darting to the frame. He's accused of treason, perhaps for plotting against the crown in this age of Tudor intrigue. You hear his breaths, shallow and quick, like the flutter of a moth against a window. You want to pull him back, don't you? But the dungeon's silence holds you, and you're caught, just as he is, in the rack's unyielding grip. Two guards, their faces shadowed, guide him to the frame, their boots scuffing the stone floor. You notice a woman standing in the corner, her cloak dark, her hands clasped tight. Is she a witness, a spy, or someone tied to the accused by blood or bond? An interrogator, clad in a velvet doublet, steps forward, his voice soft but sharp, like a blade hidden in silk. "Speak," he says, "and spare yourself." But the man's lips are sealed, his gaze fixed on the rack's rollers. You feel it too, don't you? That knot in your stomach, as if you're lying on that frame yourself. The guards tie his wrists and ankles to the ropes, the knots tightening with a soft creak. And you flinch, don't you? Even safe in your bed, you can almost feel the ropes bite. The interrogator nods, and the guards turn the rollers, slow and steady, pulling the ropes taut. The man gasps, his body stretching, and you hear a faint pop, like a twig snapping in the quiet. The rack is no mere punishment. It's a slow, calculated torment, designed to break the body while seeking the mind's secrets. Picture it like a medieval version of pulling taffy, only here, the stretch is flesh, and the breaking is truth. The rollers turn again, and the man's gasps turn to a low moan, like the groan of the dungeon's walls. You notice the chains now, how they clank with each turn, a steady rhythm that echoes in the damp air. The interrogator leans close, his questions soft but relentless names, plans, betrayals. Each silence from the man brings another turn of the rollers, another inch of strain. You want to cry out, to stop this cruel pull, but you're only a shadow here, caught in the rack's grim mechanics. Let's pause, just for a breath, and step back from the dungeon's gloom. Why such a punishment? Why this slow, tearing agony, so different from the gauntlet's swift blows or the stake's fiery end? The 16th century is a time of plots and power, where England's Reformation stirs rebellion, and loyalty is a fragile thread. The rack, used in the Tower of London and across Europe, as noted in records like those of the Privy Council of 1550, was a tool to extract confessions from traitors and heretics. You can imagine a scribe, his quill scratching in a cold chamber, logging the interrogations with a trembling hand, as if the rack's creak haunts his sleep. This was not just punishment, it was a quest for truth, a way to pull secrets from the unwilling in a world of shadows and suspicion. Back in the dungeon, the rollers turn again, and the man's moans grow sharper, his body stretched to its limits. You notice the candle now, its flame flickering, casting shadows that twist like spirits on the walls. The woman in the corner steps back, her face pale, her hands trembling, and you wonder, what does she know? Is she here to betray him or to mourn him? The interrogator's questions grow softer, almost a whisper, but the man's silence holds, stubborn as the stone around them. You want to know what keeps him quiet, don't you? Loyalty, fear, or simply the hope that silence will end this torment? The guards turn the rollers, and you hear another pop, another moan, and you feel it too, don't you? That ache in your own joints, as if the rack's pull reaches across time. The rack was not meant to kill outright, though it could. Joints torn, muscles ripped, a body broken beyond repair. Its true power was in its precision, stretching the body to the edge of endurance without spilling blood. Unlike the gibbet's lonely cage, this was intimate, a dialogue between interrogator and accused. You can picture the carpenter who built it, can't you? His hands steady as he shaped the beams, telling himself it's just a frame, like one for a loom or a bed. But this was no tool for creation. This was a machine of destruction, and you feel its presence in the dungeon, heavy as the damp air clinging to your skin. Let's linger here in the candle's faint glow. The air grows colder now, the scent of wax mingling with the musty stone. You hear the soft drip of water, the creak of the rollers, and it's soothing, isn't it? Even in this place of pain, there's a rhythm, a cadence that tugs at your own quiet room. The man's moans are fainter now, his body limp against the ropes, and you notice the guards' faces, hard but uneasy, as if the rack's work weighs on them too. The woman in the corner turns away, her cloak rustling, and you want to know her story, don't you? Does she carry his secrets, or her own? The interrogator pauses, his hand on the roller, and for a moment, you think he might stop. But then he leans close, his voice a murmur, like a friend sharing a secret. Speak, and it ends. You want to believe him, don't you? But the glint in his eyes tells another tale. The rack was a grim fixture in this century, its use whispered in the tower's cells and the courts of Europe. You can imagine the tales told in hushed tones, the stories of men and women stretched until they broke, their confessions spilling like water from a cracked jug. It's like a 16th century nightmare, isn't it? The kind you'd hear by a flickering fire, half shivering, half glad it's not you. But here, in this dungeon, it's all too real. You notice the man's hands now, how they twitch in the ropes, as if reaching for freedom. His eyes are half closed, his strength fading, and you wonder what keeps him silent. Loyalty? Defiance? Or simply the hope that this will pass? As the candle burns low, the dungeon grows darker, the shadows deeper. You hear the soft patter of water, the distant creak of a door, and the rhythm lulls you, pulling you back to your own time, your own bed. The rack has shown us the 16th century's soulless hunger for truth, its cruel precision, its unrelenting grip on secrets. Yet our journey through torment draws to a close. As we slip from this shadowed chamber, let your thoughts drift to one final punishment, one that binds not just the body but the spirit. The 17th century calls us once more to the ducking stool, a chair that plunges into water's cold embrace. Its name ripples with unease, and its story will linger in your dreams or steal your sleep. May these tales of medieval torment guide you into peaceful dreams, friends, their shadows fading as you drift deeper into sleep. If you found solace in this journey, or if it kept you sleepless just a moment longer, let me know below, sweet dreams. This is the Sleepless Historian, whispering you into the night.